Donald Trump has a very big Jeffrey Epstein problem, and it's one that's not going away anytime soon, no matter how much he wants it to. He keeps trying to throw things at the wall to distract his supporters and the American public away from this Jeffrey Epstein debacle. But every single day, we're seeing a slow drip, drip, drip of news, with the Wall Street Journal's late night article yesterday being the latest, showing that Donald Trump allegedly wrote a letter to Jeffrey Epstein on his 50th birthday, marking or drawing a nude woman on the letter. Now, Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump have been close friends for 15 years. They all were socializing in South Florida, including at Mar-a-Lago. They had a falling out in 2004, despite Trump later downplaying the relationship and calling Epstein, quote, not a fan. There are numerous photos, videos, and accounts revealing a long standing intimate relationship between the two. And now Jeffrey Epstein's thing is all being called a quote unquote hoax by the President of the United States when he ran on a message to release the Epstein files. So here's the latest in what Donald Trump is dealing with. Trump denied writing that birthday message to Jeffrey Epstein featured in the Wall Street Journal report. He announced plans to sue the Wall Street Journal along with Rupert Murdoch, who is the owner of the Wall Street Journal's parent company. He authorized Attorney General Pam Bondi to seek the release of sealed grand jury documents related to Epstein's case in an effort to quell the backlash he's receiving from his own base. But I'm an attorney, I practice criminal defense work, and I'll tell you this. Attorney General Bondi can theoretically request to have these grand jury documents released, but ultimately it's not her call. It's up to the federal court whether or not to release the documents. And grand jury documents are highly secretive and protected. You very rarely, if ever, get to see what happened inside of a grand jury because grand juries are fact finders. They're meant to determine whether or not there is probable cause that a crime has been committed. A lot of names are often brought up in front of a grand jury. It's about 13 people, 13 to 20 people or so. And a lot of the names that are often brought up are never indicted or never charged. And if these names are associated with Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're criminals or they committed anything wrong. And therefore, you don't want to release those names. So we're going to see whether or not a federal court authorizes it. Now, before I continue. Please consider subscribing to support my work by clicking the button below. To my Substack, we're sending a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron, Aaron Parnas, Parnas. Now, Donald Trump's excuse for why he didn't write the birthday message to Jeffrey Epstein, he says he doesn't draw pictures. But now we're seeing a drip, 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 once again, of pictures that Donald Trump had drew in the past, including one of the New York skyline signed by him back in 2004. And the fallout from the Epstein controversy is disrupting Republican efforts on Capitol Hill. Republicans are facing internal division over transparency. MAGA supporters are publicly burning hats in protest, and there's wider criticism as unrelated scandals continue to mount, including ICE data sharing deals, Trump's health diagnosis yesterday, Pentagon emissions revelations, and protests on Good Trouble Day yesterday across all 50 states. So we'll see what happens next. But ultimately, right now, Donald Trump really wants this to go away, and it's not going away. Now, in other news, CBS has canceled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, ending the program's 33-year run in May. Colbert announced news after learning the decision the night before, criticizing CBS's parent company Paramount for settling a $16 million lawsuit with Donald Trump, which he called a, quote, big fat bribe. Overnight, the House approved Donald Trump's $9 billion rescissions package, cutting funding for public broadcasting and foreign aid programs, including $1.1 billion for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and nearly $8 billion from humanitarian and development aid. This morning, we're learning that Donald Trump is planning to reopen Alcatraz, not Alligator Alcatraz, but the actual Alcatraz prison facility in San Francisco. It's going to cost taxpayers approximately $2 billion. It's going to be turned into a maximum security prison as one of the options, reviving the long-closed facility, which shut down back in the 60s due to high operating costs. Dozens have protested in Kuala Lumpur against Donald Trump's nomination of Nick Adams to be the next U.S. ambassador to Malaysia, denouncing his right-wing pro-Israel views as racist and Islamophobic. The demonstrators, which were led by the youth wings of the Prime Minister's coalition, called on the U.S. to withdraw the nomination and choose a more moderate, regionally attuned candidate. Donald Trump this morning slammed Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell as a numbskull, once again saying that he believes interest rates should be dropped down to just 1%. 5 migrants who were deported to Eswatini under Trump's third country program will be held in solitary confinement indefinitely, with Eswatini claiming that a UN agency will repatriate them. Affordable Care Act insurers are proposing the largest premium hike since 2018, averaging 15%, with some over 20% due to expiring Biden era subsidies and Trump administration policies. Beef prices in the United States have hit record highs, with ground beef averaging $6.12 and steaks $11.49 due to shrinking cattle herd, ongoing droughts, high feed costs, and import disruptions. And Trump is set to visit Scotland at the end of the month. That's all the news right now. If you want to support my work, click the button below, become a paid subscriber today, or send a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas, and I will see you this evening.